Oh hey, look at that! I'm sorry, recording.
Was I dragged into the,
That was an accident.
Oh, I moved everyone on the team speak.
Yeah, it's starting now. Alright.
Yeah, you can leave, Minus. Sorry.
Wait,
If you
it is
want.
starting now?
Yeah, we are having a meeting
User
right
was
now.
moved out of your
Is
channel.
it at 4?
It's 4 SLT, dude. Right now.
No, it's 3.
No, it's not. It is 4 SLT right now. It is 4:03.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
On the TeamSpeak it says 3.
The TeamSpeak
Oh, yeah.
didn't get updated for daylight savings time because I'm an asshole.
Okay.
Alright, let's start. Group activity has been good. Keep that up. Like, if you guys need somewhere to raid, go to Coercion, go to Silverhawk, so on and so forth. If you're not having fun, just come home. You know. That's, but I mean, people have been on, they've been doing stuff. Tyro's working on, like, NPC battle game type, similar to what Coercion has in their skybox, but hopefully won't cause the sim to crawl to a screeching halt like theirs does. He's got everything laid out. It's in the command forum right now for discussion. It's been approved by command, so we're probably going to move it to the main chaos discussion forum for you guys to have input on as well. We can do that after the meeting. Does that sound good with everybody?
I didn't
Okay.
approve shit.
Yeah, you did. You said this looks really cool.
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Okay, so we have been really stagnant on promotions lately. There's a reason for that. We haven't been growing as a group very rapidly like we used to. So we're going to address that. And if you would like to be promoted, you need to recruit if you are a veteran or renegade or whatever. And just make sure you have the training for it. And then one of the people that's already a trainer or a raid leader will go over training you. But we need enlisted members to justify adding more NCOs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I actually had something written about that. I think it kind of echoes what you said, though.
Okay, go ahead and though, just in case.
Okay, one moment. Gotta scroll up because I have this kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Okay, I wrote, we're super top heavy. We keep promoting people who are active and useful to up to Marauder. So, okay, so, right. So it's not just a matter of activity. We need to make sure we have a large core of active people where if we promote some of them to Marauder, they're not going to be like they're the most active ones. Oh, hey, the Renegades are gonna sit there and like lose interest or do something else. They're not going to have the retention. We need to make sure that all the renegades and veterans who are like running around, they need to be the ones who are active and they're going to stay with us for a long time before we promote to Marauder. So I think like I know we've been good about not promoting people lately, but I think we need to be very cautious when we do get to the point where we have a good number of them.
Let me explain how I have had the group structured since the restructure. And how it was working until the SLMC kind of just plummeted and died, and we did lose quite a few people that just didn't want to play anymore, and so on and so forth. I had it structured to where that there would be 4 renegades to every NCO, 2 NCOs to every warrant officer, 2 warrant officers to every officer, and then the CO over each officer. And I still think that's how we need to structure. It might take us a while to get back to that structure, but that's how we need to act upon that final structure.
I'm just saying for future promotions, we need to start from the bottom, not the top. That's all. Like we can't have the Marauders reflect.
Promote anybody that's already NCO and above at the moment. I 100% agree.
Yeah, I specifically wrote down officers right now can handle the workload that NCOs would traditionally handle. We should probably only promote once we get to the point where officers cannot handle that level of workload anymore.
Yeah, I agree. That being said, recruit, because there's another reason for recruiting, and we'll get to that in a minute.
If they don't want to join the group or do cult, or you don't think they have the commitment for it, just ask them to join militia. There's no commitment to it. We invite them to Discord.
Come hang out for a while and stuff like that. And usually people that join militia that hang out for a little while end up turning in an application. Okay, so that being said, our activity is way up, but we are not going out and raiding as much as I would like to see, and I don't... Ricky brought this up the last meeting. If you guys are standing around on base, there's no pressure to go on a raid, but if there's nobody raiding us, please, like, go find something to do, especially if you're not working on anything. Like, yeah, sim traffic's nice, but it's also nice to let people know that we're here.
Few things you can do is have skirmish battles in the sim. It keeps your chops up, and it allows people to pop in and see what's going on. Like, oh, they're fighting each other, they're bored, let's raid. this needs to happen more frequently, but as of right now, our activity's so high, people just come to us anyway. And I think once this build is up and going, for sure, with all objectives, we'll see a huge influx of defenses and stuff.
Yeah. I personally don't really like fighting in anyone's sims right now. I don't think anybody really has a fun sim to fight in. Which is kind of a shame, because I feel like the last really good sim build, there were a couple. Coercion had a really good one a while ago. Nero had a great sim build with that magistrate sim, and but they're really just, I don't know what's going on with the state of building things. Coercion sim's kind of fun, but there's a lot of unused space in Coercion sim with that whole gap on the ground level where everybody just rushes across the bridges anyway.
Unpopular opinion.
Coercion sim, but the problem is that once things start to escalate, it's just them using their grapple hooks to launch themselves back to where they were when they died last, and it just gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
But I have been having a lot of fun fighting Coercion lately. I've even had fun when Decretums raided us. They put up a really good fight yesterday, and then they left, and I don't know why. Because we had to reboot the sim, which sucked. But the fucking sim was all messed up all last night.
I got a really unpopular opinion.
What's that?
Megiddo's sim, when they were around, like their gauntlet builds were arguably, I think we fought on those the most often, even though we complained about it.
The reason why we complained about those was because they'd always put one objective right in front of their spawn, then bitch at us when we fucking killed them when they were leaving.
Right, but we always went for the object. Like we have a history of not going for objectives, but we always went for their objectives.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know, even if it was a shitty structure, like, I think they had something with what they were doing. I'm not saying, like, oh, let's encourage people to do it. I'm just saying that's where, well, you know, we peaked, kind of. Yeah, them too.
I didn't like Kratos' last build, but I liked doing the objectives in their sim because it gave you a win condition, and it made the fight not so grueling, you know?
Well, that's why I've been talking about objective things, and, like,
yeah,
as much as you don't want to admit that, you know, fucking, well, gauntlet builds, they aren't that fun, but they give people a reason to, like, focus their autism and keep on coming back because they want that win condition.
Maybe not gauntlet builds.
Hard, they stay there and they keep on trying and trying.
Oh, I agree with you, but I think that we need to focus on things that are fun to do before we make something that's just like an exercise in frustration.
Maybe not gauntlet builds, but gauntlet objectives. I'm open to that because,
well,
like,
that's what Frax was. It was an objective gauntlet, you know, and we're back to this build, and I'd like to rebuild that objective system and modify it a little bit at some point. I see Dread jumping around off in the distance.
You know, Dread, we're all sitting down. I think you need to relax. I know you have to work on that cardio, but come on, dude.
Okay, but yeah, so if there's nowhere to go fight because we have too many people on, split into two teams, go raid two different places, or skirmish with each other is basically what we were getting at. You know, we'll be working on objectives down here for the next week or so. This build got done a lot faster than we had assumed. And the good news is we still have 3,000 prims free for doing Tyro's Zombies thing, which will be out only when it's being used, which is really good. So we'll get to that at another meeting, address it some more in a Mechanicus meeting, and it'll be a lot more stable once we get Animesh.
We're not going to talk about it until I actually have a, like, 2-scale demo of about what I want with, like, shit right now.
No problem.
Yeah. There's no point in talking about it until then.
Alright, so there's a donation box out in both ends of the hub right now. We will put one down here as well for that and so on. We need to build a new entry to the sim. There will be 2 spawn parcels in the sim for attackers when we get this all set up. If you see anybody in this parcel over here, I'm pinging it, which is the spawn parcel for up top, and they decided to be cheeky and set their home there in that spot. Do you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can throw inferno grenades on them and make sure that they know that that was cheeky and stupid, and we will ruin them for it. Okay. So, moving on.
We could have a permanent fire going off there.
Yeah, just set something on fire over there like a fucking tank, where if they stand on it, they die.
That might not be a bad. Let's do it. It's not a bad idea.
Alright, yeah, just put something there now.
May I
Okay.
ask
Yeah, we
something
could put
about
it
that
Okay,
spot?
what's up? Sam?
Is there damage on in that spot?
Yes, and object
Okay,
entry and
good.
res. They can fire out of it, and you can fire into it. However,
Right.
that means that you need to behave yourselves in the attacker spawn now, because I had
Yes.
to enable that in the attacker spawn. So,
Yeah.
I need to reiterate that, going into the attacker spawn and hanging out with people is fine, but don't be dropping zombies and, like, fucking grenades and shit willy-nilly like we used to, because people were safe in the attacker spawn. They no longer are. So, okay. Let's move on. Oh, yeah, we were still on donations. Donate to the box, please. Do not donate directly to me or directly to Sarah. Just donate to the box, because it helps us keep track of where we're at. It resets on every Wednesday when SimRent is due. So it will tell you exactly where we're at on donations, and things have been okay donation-wise, but they can always be better. Linden Labs is doing some things with the Sims right now, where we may be able to move the Sim to our VPS at some point. So we will be going over how to back up your assets using area search and then labeling them at some point. Okay?
What's a VPS?
Donations. Virtual private server.
Oh, that's cool.
So then they're running them on the framework that our TeamSpeak and all of our other stuff already runs on. So it would be like me just running a script and launching a sim off of it, if they do what they plan on doing. It has not been verified how this is going to work yet. They just said cloud-based simulators hosted by Amazon. That's all they said. Yeah. Okay. Discord is for offline discussions and announcements only. There are voice channels in the Discord if you are recruiting people out of other games or you are playing other games, but TeamSpeak is still our primary form of organization and structure for this. The reason for this being is because Discord still does not have as good of a layered permission system, and it still does not support whisper lists. And whisper lists are very important when we have, forces this size on. Like if we were doing a defense right now, we would switch to 2 different squads. Squad up.
Squad, nigga, you.
Okay.
Wait, I'm gonna post a link to our Discord in the chat, because there are some people in here who aren't in there.
Does anyone have anything to add over the base primer that we've covered so far? Or have I gotten everything?
Yeah, I have one question.
There we go.
Okay.
There's a link.
So the Marauder thing,
Yeah.
did you mean like we wait for new recruits, or we actively try to recruit?
You can go out and actively try to recruit people, but the applications need to be handed to the people
User
whose
was
names
moved
are
out of your
on
channel.
the application form. So, for example, they need to be handed to me, Tyro, Sam, or Rachel. Preferably Rachel first. If the person does not hear back from Rachel within 24 hours, they need to contact one of us. And that goes doubly for the forums, which is what I was about to get to. So I'm glad you brought it up. Rachel works a lot. So Rachel needs to give us what she does for her interview process so that the officers and overlords can approve applications and go through the interview process as well, so that we know how she's doing that, because there are people that sometimes wait up to a week to have a communication with Rachel, and I'm sorry to say this isn't a real life job interview, and these people are potential active members of our group. We know when there's an edgelord and when to be like, good luck, fuck off, go somewhere else, but we're missing out on activity, and we're also missing out on donations, which help keep the sim running if we're waiting weeks and weeks for these people to have a short conversation and then be handed
Yeah,
off to a
she's having
recruiter.
problems with her emails again, too.
That's fine. It's just Ricky and Sarah have already verified that this is how we're going to do it. So I'm just letting you guys know how it's being changed. If it's been 24 hours and Rachel hasn't been able to get back to the person, she always does respond on the forums, though. That's the thing. So if you post an application on the forums, Rachel will see it and respond.
I had something to add to that too.
Yeah.
Should we
So
potentially?
just
Sorry, go ahead.
Post the application on the forums. If you can't post in the forums, then hand it off to one of us that can. Okay?
Can I add to that?
Sorry, my volume got turned all the way down. What's up?
Okay, so I was going to ask, should we try to follow up applications that haven't been outright denied, where Rachel said I sent them an offline message, they didn't get back to me?
It's been within 24 hours of the last post in the forum, yes.
Okay, so, alright, so don't bother with ones that are like, like in December or something.
Yeah,
No.
that's over with. Yeah.
Okay,
No.
fine.
Just go through the new. This is effective immediately now. In the future, this just needs to be how it's handled. Because we can't be missing out on recruits. Because our filtering process is just, getting funneled to one person. It needs to be distributed among the officer corps. No. Okay.
Oh, I didn't realize I had something on objectives too. I think I mentioned this briefly, but not like to a lot of people. So, I know that we want like some groups want to do team deathmatches and stuff, and that's fine. But what if we had like randomized like drop beacon objectives, or like that they came down from this?
Talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Never
We're
mind
gonna
then.
talk about that at another meeting
Okay.
later.
I'll delete it then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's gonna be saved for a Mechanicus or command meeting in terms of discussions about the future objectives that we can add to either build.
Okay. Now I will remove all Mechanicus related stuff from my suggestions.
So we address recruitment. I'm gonna move on to Mechanicus now. Okay.
Alright.
Unless anybody has anything else to add about recruitment. Cronus, did I cover your answer well enough? Sorry, I got interrupted in the middle.
Yeah,
of it.
you did. Just
okay.
so if we can't like manage to recruit people, are we still being considered for Marauder if we
Yes,
have
yeah,
yeah.
come in?
Yeah, it's
If
just
we get a huge
alright.
influx of fucking people that come in, then we have to find someone who is able
Yeah.
to or is up for that task.
Yeah,
so,
no,
So,
I was just go ahead.
So the reason that we try maintaining not being top heavy Cronus is because with other groups you get people that get into like NCO and command positions and then they just go inactive and you're like, oh well, we need somebody that can actually actively do this job and all that.
Yeah.
So if that happens, having the bigger like enlisted pool, you can kind of cycle that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to end up in a situation where you have 27 ranks like 2142 did.
Yeah.
I gotta go grab my dog, and then we'll touch on the Mechanicus thing.
Your
I'll be
dog's
right
scary.
back.
All right, the floor is open for discussion.
It helps with keeping us like not top heavy though, because when you're top heavy as well, it makes it so that there's not really anywhere that future recruits can go.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, finalize maybe.
I had a question. Do we need to update the handbook at all? I haven't done a glance over it in a
think so.
while.
I think we're pretty solid on handbook. We
Wait,
might
was
wanna
it
review
fixed?
It was fixed like I think late last year.
I don't
So-
think it's good enough then, because when I did it, I was recruited beginning of this year, wasn't it not?
Yeah,
So it had like missing information.
I think I think she did fix all those issues. Where after you were recruited, I think there's a few forum posts on it.
What's up?
The handbook.
We were talking about if we need to update the handbook or not.
Yes, the handbook does need to be updated.
Okay.
And we will go over that as officers later on. Okay, what else is going on? Or are we ready to
That's
move
it.
on?
I have some other quick things that are kind of I'll summarize them quick before I go over them. All right, so I had because we want to when are we going to talk about combining divisions? Is that later?
We're going to talk about that later in the meeting.
Okay, then I will hold off on that for now. Blah blah blah. That's Mechanicus. That's something else.
Yeah. Anything
Oh.
related to Mechanicus right now?
Nope, not right now.
Okay. Do you have anything related not to objectives, Mechanicus, or?
Oh wait, Mechanicus.
You do Mechanicus after I get through my list, please.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Are you good then?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Mechanicus. The Layman Rust is almost done. Let's please get that out today.
Okay.
There's like a couple things left to do on it. Okay, that covers the Layman Rust. We'll do some testing on it, but all the officers should have access to the most current version of the Layman Rust.
Wait, Dredd, you just shot me with that while I was sitting. It didn't kill me.
Okay,
That's
can
because
we
damage is off right
not
now.
Oh, okay,
do
sorry.
that during the meeting.
Yeah, please. Okay. The Layman Rust needs a respawn system. I don't want people re-resing the hitbox over and over again. That's like a big
Okay.
thing. I'm gonna add that to the doc that I just posted real quick. That's gonna help with sim performance a lot, especially since Linden Labs is being stupid about the servers right now. Okay. The land survey bot has not been running for about 24 hours because I've been fucking with my computer and doing work and shit, and I forgot to restart it. It has like 400 fucking results on it now.
Yeah, we can hold off.
We can hold off on starting it back up until we go through and investigate every result, so on and so forth. We'll work on something for that later in the week. It's not a huge priority. We have this list that we need to go through to try to make contact with people that own damaged parcels and land and so on and so forth. Okay. The Mechanicus HUD, after the Layman Russ is done, needs to be the next major priority. It does not work right at the top build, which is until the objectives for down here are done, it is still our primary build, which means that we can't take advantage of a major portion of our heavy support arsenal, you know. Okay, so let's go on to God favor items and corruption items. This is going to tie into something that we're going to get to later on as well. There are a few things that can be wrapped up relatively quickly, though, that have not been. Zane made a new Thunderhammer model a year ago, but can we please swap it out?
Yeah.
Okay, and put the existing Thunderhammer in the spawn so that people can take advantage of the ground pound in the Stormboy pack. So we'll have to make some modifications to it, which I'll get to the Stormboy pack in a few minutes. Okay, so there's also the Slanesh broadsword. I don't know if Zane has handed it to you, but I would like to have it as a Slanesh unlock for people in the armory. The Disc of Zinch needs to be put into a HUD so that it can be rezzed out like a vehicle for people to ride around on, because it functions right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same with the Psyker HUD. It's layer 1, isn't it?
It's layerless.
Oh, it's layerless. Yeah. Okay. So we need to mess around with that. It's usable for the time being. It's something for those people to do so that people that aren't Korn and Nurgle have some things to spin their God favor on. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I just need to add the Nurgle champion gear as an aesthetic unlock to the armory. If you guys hound me about it tomorrow, if I haven't done it tonight, I'll try to get it done tomorrow. It's good to be added in. There's no extra functionality to it. And that'll be a Nurgle Favor 6 unlock. And that's solely on me. I just need to get the new vendor script out and fuck with it. Okay.
Kanabo?
The Kanabo, yes. The Kanabo.
It's mostly done.
Yeah, we have the animations for it. The model's done. We just need to add some scripting and mess with the sensor for batting grenades back at people with impulse and stuff like that.
Okay, I'll fuck with that tonight then after the
Yeah, that sounds kind of fun.
Just
Yeah.
play with it a little bit, see what I can do.
Yeah, if you can package up everything involved with that, Ricky, and hand it to him, including the animations that Minus gave you for them, you know?
I don't think Minus did.
Okay, we'll contact Minus to get the baseball bat animations.
Okay.
Okay, that covers things that are pretty much done, other than the Zinch staff, which I want to see slimmed down because it's like Space Marine size right now and looks ridiculous in our hands. And then after that, we will develop a new list of things we want to do for God favor items and aesthetic only items. We will touch on after we get through this backlog of things, which is actually much smaller than it used to be.
I have a forum post up about proposed Zinch unlocks still.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine. We'll go
Yeah.
through it later. We've got a couple things we can add for Zinch unlocks. We have a few things we can add for Slanesh unlocks.
Yeah.
In terms of animations, Ricky and I are starting to animate. We can always contact Nero or Billard if we're really in a bind and pay them for animations. And I think Coercion has an animator too. And I also think Zetchi from Coercion does animations, but I'm not 100% sure. But we can get animations done. They might not get done as quickly as they used to, but I mean, worst case scenario, Ricky's around for 4 months. I'm making okay money. We can always fucking meet up and take like reference pictures of us swinging fucking gay shit around in a park or something, you know? Okay.
And that wants to take pictures of Ricky.
Yeah, take pictures of Ricky naked in the park swinging swords around. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on from there for those things, and I have all this written down. So I'll post what was in the meeting agenda on the forums if necessary, so that we can keep a primer. But this will also be posted on YouTube. Okay, so AI and NPCs is something that we really want to talk about, and the reason being, we already have an AI core done for the zombies. It's very basic, and that's fine. but because of the fact that it's done, we can add more functionality to it because of the way that it's set up. And I would like to see the zombie AI is actually pretty good for doing something like AI fighters out of a fleet ship and so on and so forth. We have the Hellblade has gotten a texture update, so I'd like to play around with that in the near future with AI fighters. We also have the new Layman Russ and we have the Chimera, which are actually relatively low in terms of land impact. I think the Layman Russ is about 80 prims if you include the physics base for it, which can be linked to it. And I would like to start with AI vehicles while we're waiting on Animesh and so on and so forth, because they're all already set up for the rotations and things like that too. So AI vehicles are going to be really cool for augmenting the scale of a fight. And they'll be balanced by the fact that they're not going to be able to be as situationally responsive as, you know, a person in the vehicle would be. And then we'll move on to vehicles from there. I just wanted to address that'd be fun to play around with, but it's not a major priority. So then on to vehicles. I'm working on a Chaos Knights Titan. I have not made a lot of progress on it because I was having a lot of problems with Blender for a little while. Those are alleviated. I'm going to be putting in a lot of work on that throughout the month. That being said, I do not have Substance Designer, and if we want to get it out sooner rather than later, it may be better if Sarah textures it, if that's okay with Sarah.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I wanted to address on the Titan. The Titan is the only new vehicle we're going to be getting until the backlog of the 4 vehicles that are not done is finished. So that brings me to the backlog of the 4 vehicles that are not done. I don't know what's left to do in the Wyvern, but I would like to see the Wyvern out soon. I think it needs to shrink up.
Wyvern's a meme, but yeah.
What's that?
It's a meme, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll play with that.
Okay.
I'll get the Lemon Rust done, then I'll move on to Chimera, Hydra, Wyvern pass.
Okay,
and get
okay,
that out.
cool. Yeah, because I want to see the respawn system implemented in all the tanks.
Yeah,
The Wyvern
because,
needs a small AT round for clearing
Wind?
landmines.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay.
very
It's
little
not
AT.
that big.
Because it does fire 8 artillery shells, so it doesn't need a lot of AT. Like,
I
maybe-
think the regular one already does that.
it might have
Yeah.
already. I don't have an up-to-date one because it's not in a
Okay.
box for testing. That's the problem. We need to start putting testing boxes out for people that test stuff too.
Okay.
That don't have any database linking or anything like that. It just checks for the tester flag. And,
Yeah.
you know. Okay, so yeah, we need to. So with that, the Wyvern should pretty much be done, other than the shrink up pass and the respawn system. Then, okay, we still have the Vulture, which has had a model since we moved to the Outlands.
Yeah, so I got kind of stuck on that when I was doing the co-pilot fucking bolter thing.
Yeah.
Now that I have
Just automate it.
Now that I have the fucking smaller missile pod, I'm gonna throw that on there, and it should be getting pretty far along now, since it's not gonna be like a complete fucking overpowered like rocket
just-
spewing mess.
Yeah, just if you can't get the automated bolter thing to work right, automate the fucking bolter.
Okay.
Like how we ended up having to do with the las cannons on the Naglfar.
Or how we're thinking of doing with the ground-based vehicles.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, there's some forms of automation where we can make it stupid enough to where it's fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can.
Next.
Okay, next is the idolator, which needs a complete overhaul and being redone, and we can touch on that way later. But I want to get these vehicles done because we really need a cruiser for our
Yeah.
fleet.
Idolator, I have the movement core shit all done. I need to fuck with the hitbox and change the weapons, and then
Yeah.
I'll be pretty much ready to go.
Okay, cool.
Touching on the fleet ship things, I really want to get some differentiated turrets than the Macacus had turrets, but that's secondary.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a whole document written out on
Yeah,
like what we need
Tyro
for
has a
turrets.
document ready to go on how we want to do all this, but we have to have some of this other stuff done because a lot of people that are modeling stuff are watching some of these models sit for years, you know. So, the Tauros. What needs to be done on the Tauros? Like, how can I
wasn't-
help you with the Tauros?
Wasn't Flying gonna do the?
I have the
core?
movement core for it. I can hand it to you.
Okay. I'll fuck
Yeah,
with
we
that
just
then.
need to decouple the movement core from the physics to, you sitting on an NPV for it and turn it into attachment. I asked Flying if it was okay. He said yes, as long as we're not selling it. So,
Okay.
and that would be how I'd want to fix the bike as well. Now, if you need any explanation about how stuff works in that movement core, I can explain most of it to you, but there are some things where the numbers are very specific for very specific reasons. That I don't exactly
User joined
know
your
why,
channel.
like the air friction multiplier.
Flying's pretty bad about.
Oh, he did
commenting, so.
comment most of it, and a lot of it said,
Well,
you know, don't change this number, it will break everything.
Throw it to me again in a bit, 'cause I think
Yeah.
I have it, but whatever. It's
Yeah,
lost.
if you can't figure it out, we'll just go back to using the standard vehicle system, but we gotta get
no,
it
it
figured
is
out.
actually using the wooden vehicle system. Just has a lot of funky workarounds.
Blinds thing?
Yeah.
No, it's using LL move object.
One sec.
Maybe we can talk about this like when other stuff is done.
Yeah. Just,
Sorry, I missed the meeting.
no, it's still...
Yeah,
going.
shut up.
You shut up, Tyro. Fuck you.
I'm sorry, that was rude.
Okay. That brings us to the las gun, which Dredd is updating right now, and Sam and Ricky and Take and Kronos need to help test those things with him. However, Sam would like to address a few fixes that he has in mind, and also what was wrong with them before this last update passed that they were messed with.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sam.
State of breakcast weapons. They suck. As it stands, the las gun and las pistol are completely useless, mostly relying on dumb luck to hit after the first shot, and the long las is minorly hindered when it doesn't need to be. Proposed fixes. The long las. Remove the added firing delay. Drop the AT back to 2, and this is a concession for Dredd. Keep damage values the way they are. Keep mag size the way it is. Las gun. Keep firing delays the way they are. Those are fine. There's virtually no difference between all three. Keep damage values the way they are. Give perfect first shot accuracy and either severely tighten or eliminate the spread. Keep the mag size at 30 or revert it to 60. I'm either way on this.
I want to chime in on that. The having the mag size at 60 is lore accurate, but we would have to change the reload time to reflect that. So that's up for a vote. I don't really care one way or another. I thought that it helped balance out the last gun originally because you even though there was the spread, you were able to fire more shots to compensate for the spread.
I wouldn't mind having that be like an additional thing, but I think the 30 round also keeps it like kind of in the assault rifle fucking loadout, and just throwing 60 on it nonchalant with how it is right now would kind of.
You could change it where the 30 is in overcharge mode and there's more damage fall off with 60.
That's the way it is
I
right now.
guess.
That's why it was changed to 30, but it's not. It's not 30 on the burst fire or the automatic, which has lower damage.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, that's fine then. Alright, let's move on.
For the las pistol, keep damage values the way they are. I'm fine with having the 70 meter kill. Give perfect first shot accuracy and either severely tighten or eliminate the spread. Remove the added firing delay, so it fires as fast as you can click, like it was before the fix. Keep mag size at current value. But the reason for this is it makes it function differently than the auto pistol. Let's see, what did I have on this other document? A quick adjustment and acknowledgement that you will probably need to double tap, and the ability to double tap effectively without having to rely on luck will have it functioning differently than the auto pistol and the las gun, while also fulfilling its sidearm role well.
We could do what we originally did with the las pistol, the one that never got released, where it fires on mouse click and mouse release, and that would make it a really interesting gun.
So the problem with raycast weapons in general, though, and trying to be like actually precise with them, just using one raycast, is that the hitboxes for actual avatars are a little bit offset when moving because they work like vehicle hitboxes, which is kind of dumb in my opinion, but that's just how shit is.
Yeah.
I already tightened the spread a little bit for the las gun and removed the first shot spread entirely from the long las and reduced it with both the las gun and the las pistol. So let's play with that a little bit and see.
Yeah, well, let's give it a week,
better.
And then we'll talk about it again after a week and see if the problems still persist with that.
But I'm pretty sure a lot of it is that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just link you this other document.
Okay.
Yeah. But you were covering the reasons already regarding how making the weapons feel unique without over nerfing them.
Is it on the forums?
No, it's in a Google Doc, but it can get posted on
I'm
the
just
forum.
saying, put the Google Doc on the forums probably for in like I don't know, just general discussion, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
You still going? Like,
Nope. I'm
oh,
done.
you're done? Oh, okay. All right.
Like I said,
I didn't
it's short
realize
and
that
sweet.
you had summarized it that well, already.
All it needs is, well, there are problems, and like I explain the problems that I have with it in the other document, but it's quite long-winded
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so
and a little patronizing.
we need to cover some more things, Mechanicus related. Well, actually, not very many more things. So
I have a few still too, but I'll wait for you to get done.
So, if you guys have any ideas for aesthetic things that we can add to the guns as just things to decorate your guns with, or slightly modify them, we are willing to hear those, because that can be things that we want to add to the armory. I think that I need to stop there and let Tyro finish up what he was going to say, because the next thing involves the armory and the way currently that divisions work, which ties into Mechanicus. So, which is going to be addressed, talked about, voted upon later on, after we have another command meeting about, well, we have a command meeting next weekend about it, and then so on and so forth. But I'm going to let Tyro go now, and then we're going to talk about that, because that's going to take up quite a bit of time.
Okay. This shouldn't take too long, but officer level cleanup command, please.
Yeah, we already have that for the zombies. Let's get that in for the rest of everything too, so that one person in the next HUD update pass, please.
Okay. Infinite AT to non-LBA objects, please.
I'm a little for and against it.
I mean, there's not a lot of holdouts like for not using LBA, but like, I mean, I just don't see the reason not to do it, because we're gonna reach a point like I'm gonna say like maybe the next year or two, maybe probably close to the next year, half a year, where most groups are going to be using LBA, and anything left is just going to intentionally try to not use LBA to survive longer.
And also, on top of that, people should not be deploying armored objects that are not LBA in our sim to begin with.
Exactly.
That being said, we have an issue right now with our munitions trying to deliver AT to themselves as well as their AT emitters. We need to add LBA descriptions to our munitions and AT emitters.
Got it.
As well as random scripted objects around the sim too. That will drastically reduce the amount of collision AT lag that people are delivering to things. And if you notice you are delivering legacy AT to something, point it out to us so that we can find the object in sim and add an LBA description, and I will document how to do this on the forums for everyone, and that will help as well.
Objective locks need LBA descriptions.
The objective locks are just out there for fun right now.
Okay,
Don't
fair
worry
enough.
about that.
Okay.
Continue.
All right. So now I have a couple of sim-related things that are kind of related to Mechanicus. This is a little bit subjective, but is there any chance that we should consider updating the textures on your rocks? Because they look a little out of place with everything else on sim.
I'd rather just remake the rocks.
Okay.
Yep.
I think the building pieces are
There's
okay.
something wrong with the specular maps is actually what's going on there. Go ahead, though.
Okay.
I think the building pieces are okay. I don't think they look off, but I mean,
think
we
they
haven't...
look crap and need to be remade.
Okay.
And we had already talked about that.
All right, we're on the same page with that. And I'm guessing I don't have to
No.
mention...
Those towers and walls over there in the attacker spawn are going to get retextured. Sarah's broken building pieces need to be remade so that they all only use one texture.
Okay.
Because right now what we're having is an issue. This build down here is actually more texture heavy than the build up top. So like if you cam around, every once in a while a texture will blur, and that has to do with a few things that could be using the same texture that are not, like those wall pieces.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering why like the rocks were doing that, but that explains
Yeah,
that.
the rocks are also not all on the same texture. So we will have those rocks remade. The trees
Okay.
are all on really low texture maps, so that's not a big deal. And all the trees and brush and stuff are modular, so if we want to change the leaves out or whatever, we can later on. Okay.
Okay. And cleaning the library. We're still doing that, or do we?
Yes.
Okay.
That's just gonna take a day when I am off and around at the same time that Sarah is off and around. So.
Every single day.
Well, no, because we never seem to get around to doing it. So
Yeah.
we need to sit down and do it. The problem is that once you are off and around is usually when combat starts taking place and there's no time to do it. So. Alright.
Okay. And last thing, I wrote a lot about this, but I don't think I'm not going to go on about it for too long. Is there any possibility? Because like we have a huge backlog, but the problem is when we're trying to work on the backlog, we're also needing like things to either update because something broke, it's been broken, or we just need a new thing to keep up. Is there any chance we can like get like someone to like actively tweak things while Dread works on like new tech? Because we already are. All right.
Yeah. Schneebly has offered to. I have offered to. Wine has offered to. Zane has offered to.
Well, we have a GitHub already. Like, it just if more people have access to that, they can test it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't like if 20. I mean, Zane's already.
I'd rather create a private Git on the website, so that some of our proprietary systems involving the APIs for contacting the database and stuff don't accidentally get posted on a public GitHub, and then we, get our database filled with bullshit,
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I mean, but everyone in our group who is willing to help, like, isn't going to be a shithead and leak anything.
Yeah,
so like,
I agree. So
okay.
I can put a Git system on my website or the system or our website that we have for Chaos and Divisum as well.
Because even if people don't know what they're doing, like even if I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, if I see an issue, like I can potentially, just by fiddling around, even just fix it, and then like all Dread would have to, or you would have to, even just like update the box. Yeah.
Well, what sucks about LSL is we can't fetch an LSL script from a remote source. So like, for example, we could store all of, for high fidelity, we can store all of our scripts on a remote source and update them, and they get updated on the fly for everything. But like, for example, say we make an update to the gun core. We can't just say, okay, that script's been updated and flag it for every weapon that has that gun core in it, or even just that object. We have to fucking reissue the object, and it's really fucking annoying that's how we still have to do this when there is a better way to do it within Second Life. Then we can turn every object that we have that's scripted out into sim crashers when we decide to leave. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, I'm glad you and Dread are down for that. Then hopefully we can
I'll set
get
it
that
up this
implemented.
week.
Okay, cool. Then that's that turned like 2 paragraphs into 2 sentences, and I got what I wanted out of it. So yeah, I have nothing else then.
Yeah. I have no problems with anybody seeing our scripts so long as the communication with our databases, which Dread and I pay for, is removed so that people can't be shitheads about, the infrastructure that we've set up for not only our group, but the rest of the community when it involves LBA and some of the other stat tracking stuff that I run. The last thing I want to do is fucking get screwed out of contract work because I'm getting a VPS from an employer and they, fuck us over.
Okay, the only
We
other
have a good deal on our VPS for like how powerful it is. So
the only other thing I have is a criticism of how we're going to be reorganizing, but I'll let you address that before I bring my thing up.
Yeah, not quite sure exactly how we're going to be going about doing this yet, even. So, if you have something against doing it, then I have.
No, I don't have anything against it. But I have a okay. So, all right, I'll just say it. So
address it first.
Okay, then go ahead.
On it. And because you're assuming that we have any sort of semblance of a plan for how we're going to do this. So far, we don't, which is why we want to hear what you think we need to get out of it. So what we're intending to do is do away with the divisions entirely, and what we want to do is turn the weapons that are designed for specific roles into specialized training. What this would enable us to do is share trainers across the group, as opposed to trainers being isolated on a per division basis for training for what's currently considered divisional gear. It would overcomplicate the rank sheets a little bit, but it would enable there to be more people online capable of dealing with more situations based on what training they decided they wanted to do and what they decided to purchase for corruption later on as well. There will be rank unlock items still, but there will be several unlock opportunities for pieces of gear in the armory, but you do need to be flagged for training to use them during combat, and there will be a way that we can enforce that as well.
Yeah, like for instance, I'm not in Mortis, but I used to be in Mortis. I'm pretty damn good at flying, and I'm fairly not great at using tanks.
Yeah.
But I haven't been training people for like the Hellblade and stuff because I don't want to step on Mortis's toes.
Exactly. So the way that we want to do this is to turn things, basically we want to spread out the rank sheet a little bit. We want to enable you guys to spend your corruption on more things than just God Favor and what we have right now. So you'd be able to spend corruption. It would be rather expensive on a piece of like a piece of equipment from the armory. Dread and I will not implement this until it is ready to be switched over in a single day, which is what's on the Google Doc right now. And after we've decided on exactly how we want it to work, what kind of values we want these things to have, because we can't have people unlocking something that would normally require 5,000 Linden donation after 3 or 4 raids, because then we're going to stagnate our donations as well. And I hate sounding like that, like sounding like we're making the group pay to win, because we're not. And right now the way that it works, you know, is that you're just locked out of that gear if you're not in that division, and you have to pay to get that piece of equipment. And that kind of sucks, because you should be able to unlock that equipment with activity and not be locked behind a rank wall with it even, you know, because some of it's really specialized gear that doesn't have a lot of utility outside of that special situation even. So
okay, so can I add something to this?
Yeah.
The whole division thing, it seems like it's
stagnating the group.
Well, yeah, that, but the division thing really, it used to work for like a group with big numbers, like back in the Turnus, because there are just so many people in each fucking division.
Yeah.
But like, it kind of requires you to have a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
And there's really not any advantage to doing it unless you have that, you know?
Yeah.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question though.
So,
You're not proposing to get rid of the rank restrictions, are you?
Maybe that's what we want to talk about.
I would disagree with doing that. I think that would be the opposite of what we want to do, which is promote activity.
Yeah.
So if you're active, you have a better chance of being, you know.
Well, so here's the thing though. We want to make them unlockable with corruption. You have to be active to get corruption.
Okay.
Yeah. We want to make them unlockable with corruption or a donation. You know, as opposed to locking them behind the rank wall, because we don't have a lot of room for expanding. And so what's ending up happening is that we're putting all these items out, and they're all just getting put within the general enlisted pool anyway. So why don't we give people something to spend their corruption on? You know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah.
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 so
Modular weapons.
I want
And modular weapons.
I want
yes.
to touch on that too. I've always kind of had a problem with trying like locking a lot of gear behind ranks and all that stuff, because like, why should someone have to have fucking like NCO or fucking officer rank to be
Yeah.
effective in one situation? And all this stuff?
Yeah.
I'd much rather.
Yeah.
like,
Instead, they need to
oversight.
give us like 6,000 traffic every week.
What I much rather, well, yeah, fuck off. But what I'd much rather do, like for say the fleet ships for getting like a cruiser, is instead of having to be like, oh, you have to be a fucking chosen, I'd be like, okay, you gotta fucking actually know what you're doing. You have
Yeah, you gotta
the
finish my
Idolater
fleet
and the fucking
training.
Iconoclast,
Yeah.
and then you can get the cruiser. Because then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's up in the cruiser. He's not just being a fucking shithead that just joined the group, paid 5,000 fucking lindens, that is now bombarding the spawn.
Yeah.
I would-
Yeah. Go ahead.
I would also make the costs a bit cheaper than the and yeah, just
The
a bit
end
cheaper
level
than
God
the-
favor.
the
Yeah.
God favor
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Oh no, of course, yeah.
Yeah, like in my opinion, so you can get about 100 corruption per raid. I think that, okay, so say you go on 3 raids a week, just for raids, you're getting 300 corruption. That's not a lot, So then maybe make some of the unlocks based on their effectiveness as well. Like if it's an overpowered thing, it needs to cost more corruption.
Sure.
So on and so forth. But I would say that being able to unlock a piece of gear every other week that isn't just part of the general enlisted pool is a pretty nice thing, and it spaces out some time as well for everybody to advance. But right now the problem is, because we can't promote everybody, there's no clear path of progression, and I feel like changing the armory around a little bit would be nice for that, you know.
I agree.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and we need to sit around and talk about values, what we think is a fair value, and that also might require some data mining for figuring out how much corruption the average person is earning that is earning corruption every week, so that we can balance this out the right way. Because there are some people, they just earn corruption quickly, you know.
Yeah.
And they're not exploiting the system. They're just, you know, they're around, they're active, they're good at melee combat, they're here for every raid or defense, and that's just, you know, they shouldn't be punished for it, but the rest of the group shouldn't be punished for that either, you know. So we need to kind of pay attention to that for a little bit, and if you guys want to report how much corruption you are making every day on the forums, we can set up a thread for that, and you just modify your post as you're going, so that, you know, after a week we can be like, you can be like, this is how much corruption I earned this week, and we do it for about a month, and that's how we determine how much things are going to cost.
So on that, yeah, I'm thinking when it comes to like unlocking weapons and shit, I'd be down to like drop the like dual pistol to like fucking 200, you know, a new weapon 500.
Well, I wouldn't drop it that low. The dual auto pistols, because people earn more corruption than they were earning when we originally added those in. So I think that like 1,000 is a good starting point.
Yeah, but I'm saying for the dual auto pistols, because that's just adding like another auto.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's just like a little add-on thing.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Not an entirely new weapon that's like unique in itself.
Yeah. For like add-ons and
so-
stuff, we can really like lower
Yeah,
the costs of
add-ons
stuff
be
like
like,
that.
you
Yeah,
know,
now you'll have to
an
buy
add-on
your
you
grenade
can-
launcher for your auto gun. Fuck you.
Well, no, I want to go that.
Yeah, I know.
far.
I'm just giving you shit, dude.
But yeah, like for the belt and all that stuff, for the bolter, like maybe
Yeah.
higher corruption that unlocks 30
Yeah.
There's an alternative.
A good example is the flak bullets for the shotgun and the.
Yeah. We could have the shotgun start off base at just the shotgun, and then you
Yeah.
unlock the other round types for it, stuff like that.
I'll do
I
those
thought you
like
unlocked
50.
them through training.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can unlock them through training, or you can just buy them.
Those are unlocked through
Division right now. Yeah. So, occasionally during a raid, you will be handed a loot box once the corruption tracker is done paying you out, and then you will have to buy a key for that loot box with real Linden dollars from the donation box.
Fuck off.
And you may get a brand new weapon. You might get a skin for your knife.
I want to add something though.
Yeah.
Selling the black knife.
So the autogun will come with a shotgun unattachment as an option, but you will have to pay for shells individually.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We devolved too much.
That being said, I think that this is a good idea, but we do need to really sit down and discuss how to set it up right, and we are going to need the whole group interacting with me and Dredd so that we can come up with a fair way to charge for these weapons in
the
terms of
subject-
corruption.
On the subject of corruption.
Yeah.
And as
Doubling corruption?
No.
Corruption scamming is a big problem.
Is it just as easy to track camera position rather than avatar position when determining how much a person is paid? I understand that you don't want to be able to pay out people who are just idling on base. However, for the people who sit and camp an area but are also still active in combat.
You're not being excluded from the list if you're thinking that you're sniping and getting chopped off the list.
No, I'm not being excluded.
Yeah.
I'm not being excluded from the list, but I am also being paid much less than other
Are you
people
sure?
who are.
If he's sitting on the border, possibly, yeah.
You should be
I'll
because it checks to see if you go into mouse look, doesn't it?
No, it checks to see if you're changing position. So I see. What
Oh,
it
you
said.
haven't checked to see if they're going into mouse look.
How about
Like,
base and kills? A little bit.
Because we don't want our bullets tracking kills. That's incredibly
But-
laggy.
As it is, I'm okay with it, but I think it would be better if you could just as easily do it by tracking camera positions and if the camera is moving.
Yeah. You can't track. Okay, hang on. If you're using the mortar, there are a few problems. You cannot track alt cam camera location. The way that we're tracking camera, we're tracking rotation with the observer HUD. We cannot see where somebody's alt camming. However, like I said, we can track avatar rotation, and we can track whether or not they're in mouse look. So maybe there just needs to be a few more pieces of logic in there for determining whether or not someone's AFK. And I had no idea it was doing that.
Pose, last wrote, and see if that changed at all. I mean, I could fuck with something that defines like the spawn location, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you don't want them getting not. Oh, so I think that the best way to do it is really just to check to see if they're in mouse look or not, like going in and out of mouse look.
We'll play with it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can just add camping sites, like the ones where it will not check if you are changing.
Well, we don't want to do that because that requires a lot of manual intervention per sim. We need a way that where it's really able to determine it itself, because it's kind of a pain in the ass to micromanage stuff like that during a raid. Like it's rough enough placing waypoints sometimes mid-raid. You know, we don't want to have to isolate an area where it's a mortar site and so on and so forth, and specify the, you know, the locational space of the mortar area and so on and so forth. Can you stop moving the fucking floor up and down? That's really distracting.
I'll also be going over a few more dick mode camping spots that I've found.
Okay. Where we need to add some cover and stuff.
No, after the meeting.
Okay.
It's not where we need to add some cover. It's like
just good spots to snipe from. Okay. So we'll mess around with the objectives down here throughout the week. We still have the build up top. It is not going anywhere for the time being. We have 2 builds now. We will be setting up a way for people to vote on what game type they want to play. The game types and objectives are no longer optional. What is optional is which game type / objective system you want to participate in, as well as which build. So what will happen is once 4 more attackers get into the sim, 4 more attackers in the same group get into the sim, it will teleport everybody home, and it will then start a vote, and we will have a vote, and they will have a vote. They'll be able to elect their OIC. We elect our OIC with the command HUD. That's not a problem. You know, so they'll be able to elect their OIC so that there's a clear line of communication. If they fail to do so, it'll continue to prompt them to do so. After they elect an OIC, it will then enable the voting system for what game type they want to play. They can click random if they want to do random, and so on and so forth. And it will be their vote pulled in with our vote for what game type they want to play. And the game types right now will be map dependent, but eventually we may have some of the same game types on both.
I think their votes should be weighted higher because, like, I think it's going to be unfair if we have a preference. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine then. We'll have a discussion about that as the system's being built, and we'll also kind of query some of the other groups and see.
I could get the drop point thing that Tyra was talking about done pretty quickly too.
I would like to see the King of the Hill thing done first. It's going to be the fastest thing to do.
The only reason why I suggest the drop thing is because like everyone seems to agree like team deathmatch is boring because all we do is kill people and we spawn them. So like even if there is no objective, it's like okay, shoot people as much as you want. We want an objective in that situation.
Exactly. Yeah, so the drop point thing will be part of the objective gauntlet for us. It will be our win condition. And the objective gauntlet will be similar to the old objective gauntlet for this build.
Well, what I was talking is just having that be an objective for each person, because that pretty much
could be fun.
The King of the Hill.
Yeah, yeah.
Before we keep going too much further, can I go over the stuff I wanted to go over for the...
Yes.
Okay, so, I actually made some new comments because of what we talked. There was some stuff you talked about that I had some ideas on. So, if we're having some weapons locked behind training as well, should we consider changing training for specific weapons to be more assessment based rather than instructional? So that like you feel like you earn something by
well, yeah, maybe.
Okay, maybe a balance of the two, because right now it's just like, hey, this is how it works. Okay, go nuts.
That's
how it used to be, isn't it? You had to like unlock weapons.
No, we never had it that way.
The only thing that's even close to that is Imperfectus, where you basically have to prove you know what you're doing.
In the fleet training as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, that's already what we're doing. So we might as well just do that, like have trainings, or because it's not that demanding. Okay.
No. It'll be part of the documentation for each weapon as the documentation passes get updated and so on.
Okay. So secondly, for unlocks, so the issue with corruption and donation unlocks is that we tie a value to corruption, which we wanted to avoid. However, I have a way to correct this. What if we had the weapon?
By the corruption, though, it's just a value in time.
Listen to what I'm saying, though, because you can one-to-one, well, almost one-to-one, basically give a value to the corruption. But I have a way to remedy this. What if we made the corruption unlocks or weapons almost like more of a skill tree? So that you'd have to have a bolt pistol for a bolter, but for any weapon, independent of where you are on the skill tree, you can donate for it.
Okay, yeah, so you'd unlock them in order. With
Exactly. That way, like, you can donate for whatever you want, or you could go along the skill tree.
Yeah, that's a cool idea, actually.
Yeah,
that's kind of how they did it in Eternal Crusade. Now that I think about
it should be like bolt pistol, then bolter. Those should just be, the bolt pistol. You automatically have that, then you unlock the bolter.
Maybe it should be like autogun bolter, or autogun stubber, and then something else, and then like you do like bolter. You buy the bolter, then you could unlock the plasma gun, and then you get the melt-a-gun.
Well, the specifics aren't too important. We can talk about that in the forums.
Dread's an idiot.
Want to do that for the vehicles, though, at least.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Chimera, then Lehman Russ. With the Chimera, you can get the Hydra, then Woodburn Base.
Yeah, it's like a branching tree, basically.
Yeah, I was more thinking of a branching. I was thinking closer to a branching tree, not a linear tree.
Yeah.
Like not.
Cool. I like that.
Okay. Now, third thing. I have a concern about, because like if we eliminate the divisions eventually, we're going to have a small issue. Except for the subdivisions like Mechanicus and Corruptor, I feel like there isn't a purpose for the Lord rank at that point. So okay, what's the purpose then in that case?
The purpose for the Lord rank is still to control the divisions. There would possibly only be one Lord now, which there currently are only two to begin with. And the purpose for the Lord rank is to basically stand over that, and the Overlords still operate as a council managing the primary administrative functions of the group. Then the Lord manages the operation of the group, or the two Lords. We probably should have two so that they can vote on things like the Overlords do. It's a redundancy issue, so that no one person can control the group too heavily. You see what I'm saying?
I almost think one, because then like it can be kind of an executive kind of idea. But I mean, I don't know.
Fine, yeah. And then the champions below them help to counteract them, and if the champions below them vote against something that they decided they wanted to do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. It sounds like we're getting to the point where it almost seems like unnecessarily where we should just combine the Lord and the champion rank. That's what I wrote down.
I completely disagree with you. This level of redundancy is here for a reason. It's so that we don't ever end up in a situation again where we turn into PSC or we merge with coercion.
All right.
I don't think that would ever happen, but you want to have that level of redundancy in there because Ricky's leaving soon. I'm not going to be around here doing this forever. And so the group has to be capable of running itself. Like, even though I'm not in charge of the group anymore, everything still passes through me for advice. There has to be a level of redundancy to where that the people in the group that don't have as much power as say you or I have can still say, hey, wait a minute, we're not okay with this. Do you see?
That's the problem I kind of have with one Lord, because like I mean that's kind of what I saw you saying. But even then with I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way still.
I don't care.
Fag.
Having any, I should say. Like I mean I said one sounds better,
what
but
you're saying, it seems unnecessary to have even the 8 ranks that we currently have. But we really don't have 8 ranks.
I'm just looking for opportunities to remove ranks. Like honestly, for me, veteran is a concession.
Okay, so ranks are a form of progression.
I know.
We also have the unlock tree thing that we want to do, which is a form of progression. There has to be progression. You're at the top of the tree, so it's really easy for you to say, oh, let's remove these things because they're redundant, because they are a little redundant, but we already removed a lot of that, you see?
Well, why remove it in the first place if, like, we want to have
because, okay, we had 3 NCO ranks. we had 3 enlisted ranks, and we had 2 warrant officer ranks, and we had 3 officer ranks. Those were unnecessary.
Yeah, they all did the same job.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we removed those. Now we have Renegade, that's enlisted that hasn't finished training. Veteran, that's enlisted that has finished training that doesn't have a job. Then we have Marauder, that's NCO. They have a job, they do something for the group. Then we have Warrant Officer, they're usually a person with a job and some administrative privileges in terms of organization, like for either Mechanicus or the division that they're in, or, you know, helping with structuring training and stuff. Then we have the Champions, who are usually second in command of the group to help with the administrative tasks that the Lords have. The Lords are there to help with administrative tasks so that it doesn't all fall upon the Overlords to do all of the administrative tasks, because even for 3 people, that is a lot of work, even though we only have about 50 people in the group right now with between 25 and 30 active.
Wait, I might have been seeing this wrong. Like, maybe, like, instead of...
To give me more work.
Well, no, hear me out. So I realize it feels kind of like this already, but why not just then, at that point, make Lord and Overlord the same rank, and Overlord is just the administrative council that decides things. Yeah, I understand that, but like it almost seems like, you know, it's already at the top. If you're removing it, it's not a matter of like. But I guess that leads to confusion because, like, you know, Overlord. Okay, fair enough.
It was very well structured the way that it was. Minus and I put a lot of thought into it. And the reason why it's structured this way is also to allow for expanding from the bottom up.
I put a lot of thought into my restructure after you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. I'm only suggesting it because, like, we're changing such a fundamental part of the group. Like, things just seem off.
It won't change that much because it actually helps with the structure that we already have in place as well.
Well, I know. That's why I'm for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Originally, we had 2 Lords per 2 divisions. Now we can downsize the top heaviness or prevent the top heaviness more because we don't have the divisional thing in place to add to top heaviness, you know, because then everybody is under the same command as opposed to 2 separate commands. We don't end up with one division going relatively inactive or having out-of-date training and stuff like that. The people that support the administration for the group as a whole can make sure that the training and things that were originally locked behind 2 separate divisions are always up to date and proofread by more eyes and so on and so forth. There's more available trainers per person and so on.
This is just a fair and power play to demote all the lazy Mortis people, though.
Yep, it's true.
It is.
Alright, that's it. Is that finished?
Yeah, can we roll this ball along?
You can just log out if you're in a hurry.
No,
bitch.
No,
just
it's
saying
been
that
an hour already.
I know, I said this was going to take an hour or 2.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Do we have anything else we need to cover?
I am done with all of my notes,
Several
so I'm
more
done.
things to cover.
Okay.
Alright.
Let's get on them.
Okay. We need to have task focus on things that we're working on. Like, this is primarily directed at me and you, Dredd. We got to start finishing stuff instead of leaving it 70% done. That's all I have to say about that. And the rest of the group is now allowed to nag me and you about this, and we're not allowed to get mad about it because there's so many things that are almost done that need to be finished. Also, in terms of that, this goes along with the rest of the group participating more in the Mechanicus thing. We need to start allowing them to help us test things before they get put in the armory.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say about that.
I want people to make a wish list for what they want done, but take into consideration that some things are much bigger projects than others.
Yes.
Like, say, the zine shot. And that only will benefit a few people in the group right now. So it doesn't have super high priority compared to other things that everyone could get.
Like the
We
Lamineros or
Yeah.
the fighter planes and stuff like that.
So-
Like,
Idolator.
we talked about that.
Oh, okay.
I honestly think the cruiser needs to be done before the idolator, but we have a model for the
I
idolator.
completely disagree because of the way that you just said you wanted to do an unlock tree.
Yeah, but the idolator has a model right now, and the cruiser does not,
cruiser
so
does not,
that necessitates being worked on.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, so that basically covers that. There's not a whole lot of changes that are going to affect anybody lower down, but this kind of change that we're proposing that's going to happen throughout the next month or so is going to affect a lot of you that are NCO and up, and you might end up with a little bit more responsibility. But you'll also have more shit to do with that, with that responsibility, so that you're not just standing around being like, oh, I'm waiting for somebody to train and so on and so forth. There will be a consistent amount of training going on for that.
Fuck yeah.
So that's good. Basically, that pretty much covers everything other than you need to donate.
Yeah.
All right, and then
Well, what happened to subscriptions?
we're going to be working on that as well.
Okay.
Which will give you a corruption multiplier because pay to win, but that's still on the table. It's just a matter of we had all this gear that needed to get done as well. So, we have to prioritize, and Dread and I need to rework our priority list again. So, which we'll do tonight or on Wednesday when you're off work.
Expect to see like almost everything that does have a rank restriction though be available for everybody.
Yeah.
With some training for some of the more specific things like fleet ships. But like say,
Okay, cool.
I don't even know why the bolt pistol is Marauder at this point, so it's probably gonna get dropped down.
Yeah.
It's a status symbol.
It was an ornamentation weapon. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we also have the dual bolt pistols, and those are super OP. So
What if the bolt pistol unlocked before the auto pistol?
We need to be able to dual wield a bolt pistol and a plasma pistol.
I want to dual wield bolters.
Okay. We're probably going to be wrapping this meeting up because we as a group need to make, as a group, a private administrative decision that is going to be recorded but not made public in case there is any debate about it later on externally. We can then list the video. So if you would like to stop recording now, Tyro, I think that was a pretty good meeting. This discussion may take a little while because some people are pretty heated about it. It might not take very long at all because of the course of action that happened to trigger this discussion and the fact that it's an ongoing thing that, has led to this point.
Yeah!